Fear is one of the oldest and most powerful forces in human psychology. It can protect us from danger, but it can also be used against us. Throughout history, leaders, institutions, and even ordinary people have learned how to use fear to control behavior. When you look closely, you will see that much of our obedience to authority is not about respect, morality, or logic. It is about fear. And this is where dark psychology comes in. The psychology of fear works because our brains are wired to prioritize survival above everything else. When fear is triggered, the logical parts of the brain shut down, and the emotional and instinctive parts take over. This makes us react quickly, but it also makes us more vulnerable to manipulation. A person in fear is easier to control because they are less likely to question, resist, or think critically. One of the most famous demonstrations of fear and obedience comes from Stanley Milgram's shocking experiments in the 1960s. In these studies, ordinary people were instructed by an authority figure to deliver painful electric shocks to another person. Even when the victim screamed in pain, most participants obeyed the authority figure and continued. Why? Because fear of disobeying authority, fear of consequences, fear of standing out, fear of being wrong was stronger than their personal morals. This is the essence of how authority uses fear. Sometimes it is explicit, like threats, punishment, or intimidation. Other times it is subtle, like social pressure, disapproval, or the fear of losing status. A boss might not yell or threaten you directly, but the fear of losing your job makes you obey without question. A government might not always use violence, but the fear of being an outsider, of being labeled, or of being punished silently shapes people's behavior. Another dark psychological trick is uncertainty. Fear grows in the unknown. When people don't know what will happen, they become anxious, and that anxiety makes them look for someone to guide them. Authority figures who understand this can keep people in a constant state of uncertainty, and then position themselves as the only source of stability. This creates dependency, where people obey not because they trust the authority, but because they fear what might happen without them. Fear also spreads socially. When a group is afraid, the pressure to conform increases. Nobody wants to be the one who challenges authority when everyone else is silent. This herd mentality has been exploited in politics, religion, military systems, and even in everyday workplaces. The more people around you obey, the harder it becomes to resist. And in moments of crisis, fear multiplies. It's making obedience almost automatic. Authority also manipulates fear through symbols. Uniforms, titles, and badges all trigger respect, but beneath them lies a darker truth. They remind us of consequences. A police officer's badge, a judge's robe, or even a teacher's authority in class are signals that disobedience has a cost. You don't always obey because you agree. You obey because the symbol represents potential punishment. Another secret of fear-based obedience is gradual escalation. Most people will resist in extreme order right away. But if authority starts with small requests, people usually comply. Then the requests grow bigger, step by step, until the person is doing things they never thought possible. This step-by-step manipulation is how people are led into harmful actions while believing they're simply following rules. The dark psychology of fear also shows up in relationships. Controlling partners may use emotional intimidation, anger, or silent treatment to create fear. Even without physical violence, this psychological fear makes the other person obedient. The same principle applies in families, workplaces, and friendships. Wherever fear is present, obedience follows. But here is the most dangerous part. Fear often disguises itself as respect. Many people believe they are respecting authority, when in reality, they are afraid of it. True respect is given freely. Fear-based respect is forced. When you obey because you are scared of punishment, rejection, or humiliation, it is not respected as control. So how do you protect yourself from the dark psychology of fear? The first step is awareness. Recognize when fear is guiding your obedience. Ask yourself, am I agreeing because I believe this is right, or because I am afraid of what will happen if I refuse? The moment you question it, you weaken its power. The second step is courage. Fear loses its grip when you face it. History shows that the bravest individuals who resisted authority were not fearless. They simply acted despite their fear. Every time you resist manipulation, even in small ways, you strengthen your mental shield. And finally, remember this: authority is only as powerful as your obedience allows it to be. Fear may be a strong weapon, but knowledge and awareness are stronger. Once you see how fear is used, you can no longer be blindly controlled by it. Fear can protect you, but don't let it rule you. Real strength comes from choosing your actions, not surrendering them to authority. If this video gave you insight, give it a like and share it with someone who needs to understand how fear shapes our obedience. And don't forget to subscribe, where we uncover the hidden tactics of manipulation and teach you how to defend your mind. Hit that subscribe button now and become part of a community that chooses awareness over blind obedience.